Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to start learning how to factor polynomials. It is the opposite of multiplying polynomials, which you've already learned how to do. It'll come in two parts. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. The two parts are factoring monomials and factor binomials. First, we'll do monomials, and then we'll factor the binomials. I believe these are AA2 for monomials and AA4 for binomials, which you'll probably see it's also called quadratics, which you'll learn about later. But we're going to start today with factoring monomials. Factoring monomials. So in order to factor monomials, first we need to look at the difference between multiples and factors, multiples versus factors. So let's start with multiples of 12. What are the multiples of 12? I'll give you a second. Go ahead and pause. Okay, if you don't remember what the multiples of 12 were, they were 12 times 1, 12 times 2, 12 times 3, 12 times 4. There are the multiples of 12. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 96. And how many multiples of 12 are there? There are an infinite number. There are an infinite number of multiples of 12 because you can multiply 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. These are just numbers that you multiply by 12. Okay? Then the difference between multiples and factors are what numbers do you multiply together to get 12? Well, we're talking about whole numbers. So there's one number that is a factor of all whole numbers, and that number is what? It's 1. Okay, so let's start with 1. There's always going to be 1. 1's always going to be a factor of these numbers that we're looking at. Well, 1 times what is 12? 1 times 12 is 12. Why did I write it way off to the right? Because there are other factors other than 1 and 12, but those are the bookends. Those are the outsides. How about 2? Will 2 go into 12? Evenly? Yes, it will. 2 times what is 12? 2 times 6. Okay, so we know 2 and 6 are factors of 12. What about 3? Will 3 go into 12 evenly? Yes, it will. So we check that one, and 3 times what is 4? And we've already done 4, so there are all of the factors of 12. And if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you might remember when you did this. 3 times 4, 2 times 6, 1 times 12. Those are all the factors of 12, and that's what we need to know. You need to remember what factors are. So the next thing we're going to look at is we're going to use factoring in order to figure out how to factor monomials. All right. So there they are. So now we're going to start by factoring numbers, the number part of it. So let's start with 24. What are the factors of 24? That's 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3. So you should be able to write those out. That was also bell work. So you should know the factors of 24, and there they are. You should have already written them out yourself. And then the factors of 12, go ahead and write them down again, just like we did. And there they are. So now the next thing that we need to look at is to remember our old friend, GCF. You remember what GCF stands for? Greatest common factor. Greatest means biggest. Common means that they're the same, and these are all factors. So what's the biggest factor that's in both of these? There it is. 12 is the greatest common factor of 12 and 24. So here's what we do with that. GCF, so you don't remember what greatest common factor is? What we do with that is we factor that 12 out. So we know that we can take 24, that's a monomial, plus 12, that's also a monomial. Together that's a binomial, 24 and 12. Those are two terms, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to factor out the greatest common factor. Well, the greatest common factor is 12. I got that right here, 12. Then what I'm going to say to myself is, because it's always going to look like it's in this form right here. It's going to be 12 times something plus something, okay? And this is how I do this. 12 times what is 24? 12 times 2 is 24. And then I say to myself, 12 times what is 12? Well, 12 times 1 is 12. So this is how we check this. I'm going to check this. And 24 plus 12 is what? It's 36, right? So I'm going to check it. 2 plus 1 is 3, right? And 12 times 3 is it's 36. So these both mean the same thing. Now, the way we check this when we're doing our Excel is we multiply the monomial times the binomial to see if we get this. So 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 1 is 12. And that's how you check it. So that's how you factor the number part. Next, we're going to look at how you factor the variable part.